I don't think we've seen the ceiling for Derek Carr yet. And I'm wondering what your thoughts might be, what Josh McDaniels might be able to add to his game at this point.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you that it's weird to say that it's not a knock on Derek Carr that he hasn't reached the ceiling. I mean, that's a compliment that a guy could be around the league as long as he has. And his I was looking at some numbers the other day. His fourth quarter comeback ability in late games, and again with a team that's somewhat limited. Of course, that meant he was trailing a lot, but very impressive. I mean, up there with some of the great quarterbacks in the league that we think of that have been in the postseason on a regular basis. So that's not underrated in my book. It's a very important element, especially when you get into playoff runs or the postseason. I don't know. I would say that along with Devontae Adams and Josh McDaniels, you'll see more explosive passing game, and you'll see bigger plays. But it'll come after the short passing game, almost using it like Tom Brady. Not that's going to be that kind of an offense, but a dump off here, a protection so that Carr doesn't have to worry about. And again, I'm not knocking the offensive line, but isn't scrambling for his life to find somebody open, or is he going to get sacked and lose yardage? And what that does do is it cuts back on Carr forcing the ball or making mistakes, sack, fumble, those kinds of things. So I'll just say a more explosive and a deep downfield passing game, but not that they're going to go all out. It's going to be a more complete passing game. Maybe the short passes set up the deep throws until that offensive line is in a steady rhythm. And from a defensive side, you need more takeaways too. And that's the other thing you hope that the Chandler Jones can add with the pressure and the secondary with interceptions. It's one thing to slow down, those quarterbacks in the division. It's another thing to take the ball away with either, a strip sack or an interception.
When you think about all of those teams that the Raiders are competing with, how crazy will the Wild West be out here?
Well, I think I'll look at a couple of things. Obviously, the quarterbacks, they're all very capable. Russell Wilson's going to have a transition period. I think people are assuming, Denver's going to be right there. Well, they're losing Vic Fangio, the head coach, who is also a very good defensive coordinator. So I think their defense will have to adjust. I think Russell will be fine, but he heard a former teammate talk about his, what he's done in an offense and throwing over the middle, and that could be a problem in a division like this with the defensive players. The Chargers, I think, are loaded with talent, and they're a trendy pick to go far. Their coach, and I'm a fan of Brandon Staley, who's worked his way up, but I saw some moves from him last year that he was, trying to be gutsy like we saw Andy Reid do, but he didn't have either the right players or plays to do that, and really cost his team in some games. So hopefully he's learned something after his newness as the head coach. But I'm a big believer in Herbert. I think he's a star, and he'll be one of the greats in the league for a long time. The Chiefs, they look without Tyreek Hill. Their defense has taken a little bit of a hit. They've kind of patched and used mirrors through their run, which has been very impressive. And they could have easily been in the Super Bowl. I think Buffalo is the team to beat in the AFC, but in this division, I'm just rattling through. So I think Andy Reid's kind of a coaching advantage. Yeah. Maybe the Chargers, there's some personnel advantage. I think Denver's going to have a growing disadvantage or an adjustment period. Again, they could be a better team later in the year than early. And so where do the Raiders fit in? And there is a newness to it with Josh and Derek and the front office and some of the players that they've added. But I think their experience last year and what they went through, the core of getting in with Carr, should carry over. So I would not be surprised. And I'm saying this now. We have to go through training camp and see what happens in terms of injuries. Yeah. But I see that Charger, Raider, Chiefs battling for the top spot in the division. I think three teams from this division could go to the playoffs easily.